All right. Hi, Paul Sackett's Good News Broadcast and Pause the World for Peace. And there is no peace if somebody's unhealthy. It's difficult, it's torturous. And I just saw a movie that Jasmine here actually created, I believe. And it's a perfect movie. All right. I've seen a lot of movies. I'm in this 50 years, and there's not a bad frame. And when there's not a bad frame, that means everybody is still in the movie and not outside of the movie. Jasmine, what's your whole name? I'm sorry.
My name is Jasmine IVANNA Espy.
Okay. And what did you do with this movie, and how did you get involved with it?
So I'm a consulting producer. I'm also the host, and I am a talent. So I tell my own story as well as interview other patients. And I was behind the scenes working with Novartis, IPG, and the patients to bring this Beacons docuseries to life.
How did it all come about?
It really came from this vision of wanting to instill hope within the HS community. A lot of times it's very heavy to deal with this condition because of the nature of it, the presentation of the condition, and just the fact that it's not as well known as it could be. And so the idea behind it is to really shine a light on this condition and to show other people that if you're living with this condition and you know it or you don't know it, that there is hope and there are communities that you can lean into to help you through your journey.
Give me a little background on yourself, and how did you learn that you had this concern?
So I'm a documentary filmmaker, an HS advocate, and a nonprofit founder. My background is in broadcast journalism, so I went to undergrad and grad school and got my degrees in journalism, and that was the catalyst to me being a filmmaker. I went to the University of Southern California for grad school, and that's where I got into documentary filmmaking. I made my first documentary there, and that was also on HS, but from the Black women's perspective, because African American women are one of the subgroups that are affected highly by HS. And so I wanted to do my part as a journalist to help shine a light on marginalized communities that are also dealing with this condition.
But you're more than a journalist here. You're a patient. Yes? No?
Yes.
Wasn't that you in that movie, or was that someone else?
That was me too, yes.
You have a sister that looks exactly like you. That was you.
Yes.
So, day one, what happened to you that made you think that there's something not right in your body?
Yeah, I developed HS when I was around 11 years old, and I got a painful bump under my right armpit, and it just happened randomly one morning. And so from there, the condition just basically spiraled out of control, and I went from having that one lump to having my whole body in the atypical areas that HS affects, even though it can affect any place on your body. I had it in my armpits, my groin, my stomach, my back, my thighs, all of these different places, these intimate spaces. And that was when I knew that there was something wrong, and I didn't get diagnosed until I was in high school.
Okay, so that's what I want to ask. You knew you had a concern, but did you go to the doctor the same day you had the lump?
My parents and I made an appointment so that we could go see my care physician. Yeah, but I didn't get a diagnosis at that time.
Because? Why do you think?
That just was, my physician didn't think that it was anything to be concerned about at the time.
Did your physician know about HS?
He had seen HS in other patients, like children, but at that time it wasn't as well known as it is now, even though now it's not that well known either, even though, there's an uptick in awareness.
Right, I think I heard 1 out of 100 people, yes? Is that right? Some serious statistic.
Yeah.
That's a serious statistic.
It is.
And so, do you have any idea after all this time, how many years ago was that?
Oh man, I'm 29 now, so I was 11 at the time.
Wow.
I we can do that math. I don't know.
That's cool. That's it's irrelevant.
That was like over a decade for sure.
This is not a math class. All right. So what this though is that you have any idea after this now period, and after being an advocate, and after being a producer, and coming out and with such love, with a perfect movie, not a bad frame, because everybody there in that movie was wonderful and sharing their innermost feelings and physical condition. And so, do you have any idea how it came about for you? Do you have any other relatives that have this? Did you learn any, did your parents have anything? Did your grandparents have anything?
That's an interesting question. I have a cousin on my mom's side who actually has HS. So for me, it could potentially be genetic, but there's still more research that needs to be done on what that connection is.
All right. Well, we're going to learn a little more about some of the research being done because we're going to interview somebody from Novartis, and that's their thing. And they, thank God for pharma, because pharma spends a small fortune, if not a big fortune, in R&D. And then a lot of people wonder why, some medicine might cost some money. It's because some medicine took them 20 years or 10 years to figure out, and trials and all that kind of big expense to come up with the solution, potentially, or to minimize the concern. Are there things out there to minimize the concern? Do you take any kind of medicine?
Well, I don't want to speak to any medications just because everything affects each patient differently.
Okay.
So everyone it's an individualized approach.
Okay.
Because if you think about HS patients, it's like, think about a snowflake. Every single design pattern is different. So what works for one patient might not work for everyone else across the board. So I always encourage patients to go see a physician and to find the treatment option that's best for them.
Perfect. Let me ask you one last question. Well, it's two quick ones. Where do people go to find something out about the movie or about yourself? Do you have a website or social media?
So Shine a Light on HS is the best place to go to learn more about myself and the other beacons, and then along with the documentary. So shinealightonhs.com.
Last question, because we're involved with the International Day of Peace, World Peace, and there is no peace without health. What's peace for you?
Oh, peace for me is knowing oneself, being connected to oneself and one's community. I think that's what peace is.
Fantastic. Well, you're a wonderful person. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Latanya, Marion, so grateful for you sharing your experience, the courage that you have, and leaving us with such a sense of optimism that what you do every day and the choices that you make to share your voice really makes a difference in the lives of others. So I just want to thank you guys. And huge thanks for bringing this to life and telling these stories in such a compelling way. And a huge thank you also to Tribeca Festival for this platform where we can raise the voices of people living with HS so that others who may live with the same condition can find their voice and their power and the help that they will need. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laverne Marsh. I am the Chief Product Officer for Novartis. I'm joined by my colleagues here this afternoon. As I see some smiling faces, they'll help me get through it. But really such a huge pleasure and immensely humbled to be joined by some of our stars today. So starting with Jeremy, Selena, Jasmine, and then Julia on the far left-hand side. But I'm going to do less talking, and I'm asking all the questions. And I'll start actually by kicking it over to all of you to introduce yourself very briefly to the audience, who no doubt is sitting here very riveted, wanting to learn more. So Jeremy, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. My name is Jeremy Hingston. Right now, currently living in Lewis, Delaware. I'm a professional photographer, videographer, and audio engineer, and HS advocate. And much love to all of you.
Hi, I'm Selena. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm 28. I've had HS since I was in high school, but I didn't find out about it until I had to get my first surgery at 22 years old.
Hi, my name is Jasmine IVANNA Espy, and I am a documentary filmmaker and HS advocate. a nonprofit founder. The list goes on, but I'll just stick with those. And I am from Detroit, Michigan, but I reside in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Julia Kupiak. I feel like my portfolio is going to be a lot shorter than that. I'm a director. I live in New York. I'm from New York. Grew up in California. That's it.
Wonderful. So welcome to all of you up front. So I guess my first question, Julia, since you were the last one talking, so now you'll be the first one to answer my first question. But such a moving tribute to the stories of these HS advocates. And I want to get a sense of what moved you to do this film and this docuseries with this amazing group of people.
Well, I think that especially when I'm considering what work I want to do, particularly in the commercial space, this seems like a particularly and so from that conversation, then we would sort of spitball and kind of come up with what scene can we do that's going to try to represent this as wholly as possible. So it was a team effort.
I think from my perspective, with HS, when you get the diagnosis, it feels like life is ending for you. And so I feel like telling each one of our stories is like life is beginning for us. It's not what we used to know, but it's something different now. And so, if you can capture that on camera, on screen, that's like, you can provide hope for other patients living with this condition, or other people who have HS living with this condition.
And I love that and how you portrayed how different people's experiences are different. But with that ability for folks to see themselves in an experience for someone, whether they live in Canada or the US or in the UK, or whether they're a man or not. And I really, really love that. A few other moments that really stood out for me, and I'm curious for you, Jeremy, and you, Selena. One thing that struck me about each of your stories is that moment where you talked about, Selena, you talked about that you don't look sick, and you don't look at or look outwardly as though there's something quote unquote wrong with you, and yet you feel overcome with this pain. And Jeremy, you had a moment where you spoke about no longer being able to recognize yourself. And so when you watch that back, and you obviously watched this a lot more times probably than I did, but talk me through how that felt for you, just coming to those moments of seeing yourself and pulling yourself into a totally different place of optimism and demonstrating that resilience that you have.
Please.
Thank you.
It was seeing me in the bathroom at the library and like having to change bandages. I think that was very impactful because it's not something a lot of people have to go through, and it's not something that you would realize that someone might have to go through. So seeing moments like that, it makes it a lot more real.
Yeah, for me, it was just, it was very difficult to see me like that because I've never seen myself like that. I've always been a bigger guy, 250 pounds. So to see me at 167 pounds, not being able to barely lift 3-pound weights, like, it's just very, very hard. Let's just say I'm happy we took pictures before the shoot because it was very difficult. But now seeing that and getting this new lease on life and knowing that we have the chance to help other people with this and we can be brave enough to show ours and be on camera and talk about it, and just knowing what that can do for other people who aren't as comfortable just means the world. Some people may not even be here anymore because of what they've gone through. So if we can have any kind of part in helping that, that just drives everything.
I love that. And I want to pull on that thread a little bit, right? And Jasmine, you said in one of the interviews you did, because your role's quite unique, both as a co-host and HS advocate, as a filmmaker, as a consulting producer. And there was a moment that you talked about when you get to that place of starting to share your story. I would imagine can be quite a scary place to be. And starting to share your story is almost like reliving your trauma. What was that like for each of you, taking that decision, that choice, that despite your struggles, despite your experiences, that you feel that conviction to share with others so that they may seek the help they need? What was it like?
It was honestly powerful. It was a powerful experience. I think for me, yeah, I feel like I'm I feel like that moment is surreal because going back to what we were talking about before, the hope aspect of things, like providing hope for other people. Sometimes you have to go outside of yourself to encourage other people to do the same, you know. I'm hoping that other people feel like they can tell their stories, that they're not afraid to live with HS. So, yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Jasmine and Jeremy said. It's a great honor to be able to share my story because I know it's very scary to be so vulnerable, and HS is not the most pleasant thing to talk about out loud, so to have to talk about it out loud, it's very scary. But if you can help just one person get an earlier diagnosis or just help them feel better, that's the best thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, and I would like to add also that, you know, when you're going through something like that, and, you know, we all have passions and things that we love to do. And when you can't do them for a long period of time, it feels like you're really losing yourself. And, you know, when you're on social media and seeing people talk about how hard it is and how do you deal with this and stuff, and knowing that we've gone through that and come out on the other side to be able to speak about it, it just hits you. You see people not living and not lifting up their kids, not dancing, not, you know, reading books, or maybe she can't lift her arms up or something. And you see that, and you just don't want it to be like that. Life is so much more important, and that's why we want to stress that HS doesn't define you. At least for us, we say your passions do. So we just want to put that out there for people and inspire people.
I love that. I love that. Thanks, guys. Julia, I'm right back to you.
Oh God. Oh wait, new question or
New question.
Okay. I was like,
She was like, oh no. New question for you. Because I'm sitting here with goosebumps, listening to the stories of three people in person. For you on the other side of the lens, helping these HS advocates tell their story, hearing the different arcs of their stories, what is it that you would wish for others to know who may not know what it's like to live with HS, may not know the stories in the detail that you've seen it told? What is it that you wish others to know about how we might create more forums for more dialogue on the topic, create more forums for really education, empowerment, upliftment, as you've done in this film, in this docuseries?
Well, I certainly can't speak to what, you know, I wish other people knew about HS specifically, but I can say that being a person who was sort of the receiver of all of these various stories, I mean, something that I was thinking about a lot throughout the process was just how looking at and talking about something hard is it's the opportunity for transformation and for growth. And I don't know, it really emphasized to me the importance of openness and also the difficulty of openness. And, you know, perhaps those things are, I suppose, intricately related. So I think across, you know, any kind of difficult experience, any kind of trauma, any kind of health-related difficulty, I would just hope that we're sort of fostering a community and a world that's more open to speaking and looking and discussing maybe the difficult things.
Wonderful, and thank you for your gift in directing and allowing us then to be able to really appreciate people's stories in a short period of time, but such an impactful time.
That's time, thank you.
Indeed. So, a little bit of a fun question at the end. But I'm really curious. Jasmine, we'll start with you and we'll come back this way. Obviously, your role also as a consulting producer and a co-host in the film. When all came together and was all done, what was that moment like for you? What did you feel? What was the best part of that experience for you? And I'm really curious, same Jeremy, same curious about what was it like to get to the finish line, watch it for the first time. Selena, also really curious about that.
One of my favorite parts in creating the docuseries was doing the mirror work, because I feel like with the condition in particular, like dealing with the body is very difficult. We can have tough experiences with the lesions and the drainage and the smell, all the different symptoms of HS. And so for me, the practice of mirror work and being able to show other people like what that is, and then to hopefully inspire them to do that, that was like one of my favorite moments. And then to just see it all come together, it's been a long journey, but it's been a labor of love. And I don't know, sometimes I'm at a loss for words, because I'm just like, what we've done is just very powerful, and it's going to be very impactful for the community.
You did this. I can't echo that more. Really powerful. So, how about you?
It's so cool to finally see it happen. I can't believe today is actually the day. It's been like a countdown for a long time. But it's been so cool because we get to raise awareness for HS. We get to help patients. We get to help a lot of different people with it. And I hope with what I've said and what everyone else has said, that people feel less alone and that they understand that there's some days where you're not okay, and that's okay, honestly. You need a day to take for yourself. It's okay to not be okay. And remember, you're not alone, and it's not your fault. This is something that, unfortunately, you have to deal with. It's not your fault, though.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Seeing this come together for me, it's been amazing. To be a part of something like this, and with Julia directing, Ace shooting, everything was amazing. You couldn't ask for a better team of people. Jasmine, I mean, come on, Jasmine. First of all, I've got hair jealousy because that was ridiculous. But it's just been an amazing time, and to see it come together. I don't like seeing my part because it's just very difficult, but being able to see this and know that everybody's talking about it, and the team at Novartis has just been, you can't ask for a better group of people coming together for an amazing reason. So what I take away from it is, my tiny ninja, my beautiful wife, Jillian, we travel around and interview people too, but our platform is very small. We're doing what we can just because we want to do it. So being asked to do this with Jasmine and Novartis and Julia just gives us such a bigger platform to get this awareness out and start the conversations or continue the conversations. And that is paramount to me. It's just paramount.
I see your biggest fan is out there. Your little ninja. I love that. But thank you so much for saying that, Jeremy, because I think the courage that each and every one of you have to do this, not once, not twice, but sharing your stories to everyone that would listen, is really, Jasmine, to your point, so powerful. It reminds me of just something that always goes through my head, that every single human being has the capacity to make a difference in the life of someone. And here you guys are making a difference in the lives of multiple people. And so intense gratitude for bringing your gifts, bringing your voices, giving your time, this moment sitting right here doing precisely that. And you certainly have all of our commitment on behalf of Novartis. A huge gratitude to Tribeca for this platform to continue creating spaces like this so that we can together make a difference in the lives of others. So I want to thank this amazing panel, everyone, for sharing, for being present, for helping us just look through a pinhole at your experience and feel just a fraction of the amazingness of your humanness and your triumph over your struggles. These things happen to you. You didn't ask for it to happen, and here you are yet making an amazing difference in the lives of others. Many people you may not know, so I want you to know that too. The number of times that we've shared your content with people that you don't know, and people have either self-identified or had an aha moment or went to a physician, know that you're making a difference to people that you do not know, and that's really, really powerful. So thank you so, so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank all of you for being here and letting us do this.
And now it's my responsibility, apparently, because Sarah has reminded me that there are refreshments through those doors on the other side, and we look forward to continuing